Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India Live, India's voice to the world. I'm Amritpal Singh. Coming up in the next 30 minutes, world leaders send messages of support to Ukraine on its Independence Day today. Ukraine drone hits Russian nuclear plant, sparks huge fire at Novatek Ust-Luga terminal. North Korean leader Kim Jong-un oversees the firing of 2 new air defense missiles ahead of a summit between US President Donald Trump and South Korean President Lee Jae-myung on Monday. Defense Minister Rajnath Singh says Gaganyaan mission symbolizes new chapter in the journey of self-reliant India, felicitates astronaut Group Captain Shubhanshu Shukla and other Gaganyatris, calls them gems. Ukraine attacked several power and energy facilities in Russia on Sunday, forcing capacity reduction at the Kursk nuclear power plant. The drone attack led by Ukraine was not far from Russia's border, damaging an auxiliary transformer that led to 50% reduction in plant's operating capacity. The fire sparked by the attack was put off with no injuries reported. Also, the radiation levels at the site were within normal limits. About 10 Ukrainian drones were downed over the port of Ust-Luga in Russia's northern Leningrad region, with debris sparking fire at the Novatek-operated terminal. Radiation levels were normal and there were no injuries from the fire which the drones sparked. 2 other reactors are operating without power generation and one is undergoing scheduled repairs. And Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney and US Special Envoy Keith Kellogg joined Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky in Kiev on Sunday for a state celebration marking Ukraine's Independence Day. Carney pledged Canada's continued support and urged deterrence against Russia amid ongoing discussions about Western security guarantees for Ukraine. Zelensky praised Carney's first visit as Prime Minister on Ukraine's most significant national holiday as a big honor for his country.
And every day we are returning more and more of this war to where it came from, into the Russian sky and onto the Russian land. And with every step of this war there, with pressure on Russia, with their real losses, we know that peace for Ukraine is getting closer.
Russia and Ukraine exchanged 146 prisoners of war from each side on Sunday after mediation by the United Arab Emirates. The ministry said all of the freed Russians were in Belarus receiving psychological and medical assistance. Ukraine also returned to Moscow 8 Russian citizens who are residents of the Kursk region. Meanwhile, the Norway government on Sunday said it will contribute nearly $696 million of air defense systems to Ukraine, with the Norwegian Prime Minister Jonas Gahr Støre stressing that the aid will support Kiev's defense against Russian air attacks. Norway and Germany are funding 2 Patriot systems, including missiles. In addition, Norway is contributing to the procurement of air defense radars from the German manufacturer Hensoldt and air defense systems from Kongsberg. The systems are currently located in Germany and will be delivered to Ukraine as soon as possible. The United States has confirmed that it will replace the donated systems, and Norway has committed to contributing financially to their replacement. In Britain, anti-migrant demonstrators and counter-protesters faced off in Hawley and Liverpool on Saturday over housing of asylum seekers in hotels. In the town of Hawley, there was a large police presence, keeping the two protest groups apart outside Liverpool's St. George's Hall. Britain has seen regular small-scale protests in recent weeks outside hotels housing migrants, spurred in part by concerns about public safety after some migrants were charged with sexual assault. British Prime Minister Keir Starmer has been facing criticism over the immigration policies after official figures on Thursday showed asylum claims at a record high, with more migrants being housed in hotels compared with a year ago. The Texas Senate approved a bill on Saturday to redraw the state's congressional maps at the behest of President Donald Trump in an effort to flip 5 U.S. House seats held by Democrats to Republicans. The approval comes after the state House passed it on Wednesday. The measure goes to Governor Greg Abbott to be signed into the law amid a nationwide redistricting battle. The Senate adopted the bill on a party-line vote 18-11 after more than 8 hours of debate. California and other states where Democrats hold power vowed to counter such moves. The Californian legislature approved redistricting plan on Thursday aimed at giving Democrats 5 more congressional seats. The California plan must be approved by voters in November. The Texas plan does not need voter approval, but Democrats have indicated they will challenge it in court. U.S. President Donald Trump praised the newly passed Texas electoral map as a tremendous opportunity to help his Republican Party retain control of the Congress in the next year's midterm elections. Trump, posting on Truth Social platform, said the new map will give wonderful people of Texas the tremendous opportunity to elect 5 new MAGA Republicans in the 2026 midterm elections. Trump had pressured the Republican-run Texas to create the new map to help prevent Democratic opponents from taking over the House of Representatives in 2026, halfway through his term. Last week, the state legislature's lower chamber adopted the bill after Democrats delayed the votes for weeks by denying Republicans a quorum to do legislative business. Governor Greg Abbott said he would swiftly sign the bill into law. The Pentagon is preparing to deploy U.S. military forces to Chicago as President Donald Trump looks to expand his crackdown on crime, homelessness, and undocumented immigration. According to media reports, the planning has been underway for weeks and could include mobilizing several thousand National Guard troops as soon as September. In a statement, the Pentagon said it would not speculate on further operations, adding that it continuously works with other agencies to protect federal assets and personnel. President Trump signaled the move on Friday, saying he may extend his anti-crime initiative from Washington, D.C. to Chicago, noting that some of his supporters in the city have been screaming for us to come. Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson, however, has pointed out that crime, including homicides and gun violence, has declined over the past 1 year. U.S. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth fired the head of Pentagon's intelligence agency and 2 other senior military commanders. The latest move by President Trump's administration to purge officials at the Pentagon. It was not immediately clear why Lieutenant General Jeffrey Cruz, who led the Defense Intelligence Agency, was fired. Hegseth's purge broadened later on Friday on one U.S. official speaking on the condition of anonymity said that in addition to Cruz, Hegseth had also ordered the removal of the Chief of U.S. Naval Reserves and the Commander of the Naval Special Warfare Command. All 3 officials said it was unknown why they were fired. The move appeared to be the latest attempt by Trump administration to penalize the current and former military intelligence and law enforcement officials whose views have been seen as at odds with Trump. Some weather updates now. Tropical storm Fernand has formed southeast of Bermuda, which is forecast to strengthen over the next 48 hours. Potentially approaching a hurricane will strengthen by Monday. The storm is located approximately 655 kilometers southeast of Bermuda, with maximum sustained winds of 65 kilometers per hour. The National Hurricane Center is monitoring the tropical wave with a medium chance of development within days. This system will likely bring heavy rains and gusty winds to the Leeward and Windward Islands on Sunday and Monday. And the roads in Margaret City, New Jersey, were submerged by floodwater as Hurricane Erin, which was churning in the Atlantic hundreds of miles offshore. Erin, which has since made its way further out to sea, was downgraded to a post-tropical cyclone. However, the agency warned swimming at many beaches along the east coast of the U.S. remained dangerous over the weekend. Erin, the fifth named storm of 2025 Atlantic season and the first to attain hurricane status, earlier had strengthened to a Category 5 storm. The latest Atlantic storm to reach that intensity was Hurricane Milton in October of 2024. Following Erin's passage, the U.S. Coast Guard has been actively responding to massive waves along the east coast. As the storm weakened and moved out to sea, it left behind dangerous conditions for maritime operations. And now shifting focus to Asia Pacific. Vietnam is planning to evacuate more than 5 lakh people and has cancelled about a dozen domestic flights, while the southern city of Sanya closed business and public transport as the two braced for an intensifying typhoon Kajiki. Sanya issued a red typhoon alert, the highest in China's color-coded warning system, and realized its emergency response to the most severe level. The storm could make a landfall on southern coast of China, South Island province by the Hainan from Sunday before heading towards Vietnam. North Korea leader Kim Jong-un has supervised the test firing of 2 new air defense missiles as tensions with South Korea flared following a border incident earlier in the week. The test came hours after South Korea confirmed that it fired warning shots on Tuesday at North Korean soldiers who briefly crossed the demilitarized zone separating the two countries. And the report came ahead of the summit on Monday between US President Donald Trump and his South Korean counterpart Lee Jae-myung. The missile twists also could contribute with large-scale joint military exercises between South Korea and the US. Earlier this month, US-South Korea joint military drills as their intent to remain the most hostile to his country, pledging to speed up nuclear buildup. According to Korean Central News Agency, the launches showed the improvement missile systems and superior combat capabilities. Let's now take a look at some other stories making news around the world. In Russia's Moscow, a gas cylinder exploded in an iconic toy shop on Sunday, killing at least one as per state news agencies. The blast occurred at the Central Children's Store, the toy shop building, which also houses a number of restaurants, shops and cinema, has been evacuated. Air Canada's passengers faced long delays at the Ottawa International Airport on Sunday as flight attendants who were on strike refused the Labour Board's order to return to work. Canadian Union of Public Employees has called the order unconstitutional and has urged Air Canada to return the bargaining table. The airline expects operations to resume on Monday. In Lithuania's Vilnius, hundreds of corgi dogs and their owners gathered on Saturday for the annual Korgil race, celebrating the beloved breed with competitions and a costume fashion show. The event featured multiple races where the short-legged dogs sprinted towards their cheering owners at the finish line. Slovenia's Olympic climber Janja Ganbret reportedly targeted 100 routes as part of a 24-hour marathon fundraiser. As per the champion, she aimed for about 10 routes per hour. Though in the competition she usually manages 4. She also highlighted that for her it's all about charity aspect. Still to come up on DD India Live, Sri Lankan former president's recent arrest has united the country's opposition parties. And the stage is set in New York for the final Grand Slam of the year, the 145th edition of US Open, to get underway on Sunday at the Flushing Meadows. You're watching DD India Live. I'm Amritpal Singh. In Sri Lanka, former President Ranil Wickremesinghe's recent arrest has united the country's opposition parties. At a media briefing held earlier today, several opposition leaders voiced strong criticism of the authorities' decision to detain Wickremesinghe. Under the theme, "Let's defeat the constitutional dictatorship," the leaders accused the current administration of manipulating legal mechanisms to suppress political opponents, saying that the arrest represents a wider campaign to weaken the democratic institutions and stifle dissenting voices.
What is the need to arrest him? Is the arrest in any way connected with the objective of a proper investigation? It is quite evident that there is no connection between the two.
The particular circumstances surrounding the arrest of former President Ranil Wickremesinghe in a situation where the investigation is almost complete give rise to grave concern with regard to the strength of basic democratic institutions in our country. What we are witnessing is a calculated onslaught on the very essence of our democratic values. The consequences of this go far beyond the fate of an individual or any political grouping and involve peril for the rights of our society as a whole. I join wholeheartedly in expressing my unreserved opposition to these initiatives which all political leaders are duty bound to resist. Sandrika Bandaranaike Kumarthuga.
The 76-year-old former President Wickremesinghe was remanded by Fort Magistrates Court over allegations of misusing public funds during an overseas trip in 2023. He was later admitted to the National Hospital, where he was shifted to ICU on doctor's advice. The Prime Minister of Fiji has arrived in India on a 3-day visit. The leader was received by Union Minister of State for Education and Development of Northeast, Dr. Sukanta Majumdar, at the airport. This is the first visit to India by Prime Minister Rabuka in his present capacity. During his visit to New Delhi, Prime Minister Rabuka is scheduled to hold talks with Prime Minister Narendra Modi on Monday. The visiting Prime Minister is also scheduled to call on Indian President Draupadi Murmu in New Delhi. Prime Minister Rabuka's visit underscores the long-standing and enduring ties between India and Fiji. It reaffirms the continued commitment of both countries to further strengthen bilateral relationship across all sectors and deepen our close people-to-people ties. Defence Minister Rajnath Singh attended the Indian Air Force Space Conference in New Delhi, where he was felicitated the Gagan Yatris, including astronaut Shubhanshu Shukla. The ceremony also honoured Group Captain P.B. Nair, Group Captain Ajit Krishnan, Group Captain Angad Pratap, who are part of the Gaganyaan mission, which is ISRO's maiden human space flight. Speaking on the occasion, Minister Rajnath Singh described 4 Gagan Yatris as gems of the country and pioneers of national aspirations. He stressed that Gaganyaan mission symbolizes new chapter in the journey of a self-reliant India that places us with pride among the major space powers of the world. The minister described the 4 Gagan Yatris as gems of the country and pioneers of national aspirations.
जब हम भारत की स्पेस जर्नी की ओर देखते हैं तो हम पाते हैं कि हमारा कंट्रीब्यूशन केवल स्पेस में उपग्रह भेजने तक सीमित नहीं है। आज भारत चंद्रमा से लेकर मंगल ग्रह तक अपनी उपस्थिति दर्ज करा चुका है। आज भारत गगनयान जैसे मिशंस के लिए भी पूरी तरह तैयार है। साथियों, मैं इसे केवल तकनीकी उपलब्धि के रूप में नहीं देखता, बल्कि आत्मनिर्भर भारत का वह नया अध्याय है जहां हम विश्व की बड़ी स्पेस पावर्स के बीच पूरे गर्व के साथ खड़े हो रहे हैं।
The Delhi Assembly is hosting its first ever All India Speakers Conference in the national capital. Home Minister Amit Shah inaugurated the 2-day conference at Delhi Assembly in New Delhi today. At the conference, the Home Minister urged the House proceedings to be conducted as per rules so that an unbiased debate takes place. The conference is organized to commemorate the centenary year of Vithalbhai Patel assuming the office of Speaker of the Central Legislative Assembly as the first elected Speaker in the country. The event will bring together speakers from state assemblies all across the country, along with chairman and deputy chairman of legislative councils from 6 states. The Speaker of the lower house of Parliament will preside over the closing session of the conference.
हम एक निष्पक्ष मंच अपने अपने प्रदेश की जनता की आवाज के लिए रखें। एक निष्पक्ष बहस पक्ष और विपक्ष के द्वारा हो, इसको हम सुनिश्चित करें और सदन की कार्यवाही विधानसभा के नियमों के अनुसार, लोकसभा राज्यसभा के नियमों के अनुसार हो, इसके लिए हम आग्रही बने, क्योंकि विचार मंथन ही ये लोकतंत्र में जनता की समस्याओं के निवारण का सर्वश्रेष्ठ माध्यम है।
The stage is set for in New York for the final Grand Slam of the year. The 145th edition of the US Open will get underway this Sunday at the Flushing Meadows. With record prize money on offer and the world's top stars chasing glory, tennis fans are set to witness high-octane battles. Watch this report.
The US Open 2025 begins on August 24 at the USTA Billie Jean King National Tennis Center in New York, bringing the curtain down on this year's Grand Slam season. The tournament is making headlines even before the first serve, with a record $90 million in total prize money, the highest in tennis history. Both men's and women's single champions will walk away with $5 million each, runners-up $2.5 million, semi-finalists $1.26 million, and doubles and mixed doubles champions $1 million per team. On the men's side, the spotlight will be on world number 1 Jannik Sinner, who is chasing a historic third Grand Slam title of the year after triumphs in Australia and Wimbledon. Sinner comes into the tournament with a remarkable 26-match winning streak on hard courts. Germany's Alexander Zverev, who lost to Sinner in the Australian Open final, and Novak Djokovic, a 4-time US Open champion aiming for a record 25th Grand Slam, will also be determined to make their mark. Spain's Carlo Alcaraz stands as the biggest challenger. The French Open champion has beaten Sinner in a Grand Slam final already this year and will look to reclaim the New York crown, which he lifted in 2022.
So let's see. New York is a place that I love playing. It is where I got my first Grand Slam, which I just appreciate the love and the support that I've received there every year that I go. And last year it was disappointing, the level that I played there. So this year I just really want to show my really good tennis, my best tennis, try to go as far as I can.
The women's field is equally stacked. Aryna Sabalenka, the defending champion and world number 1, will hope to repeat her title run. Iga Swiatek, fresh from her Wimbledon success, will aim for a second crown in New York and to cement her legacy across all surfaces. Elena Rybakina, who defeated Sabalenka in the Cincinnati Open semi-finals, is another major contender. And the home crowd will have their eyes set on Coco Gauff, the 2023 champion and the reigning French Open winner, who has already proven she can rise to the occasion under the bright lights of Arthur Ashe Stadium. With the women's final on September 7 and the men's championship match on September 8, the US Open is set to deliver drama, rivalries and history in the making right in the heart of the New York City. Sports Desk, DD India.
That's it then in this edition of DD India Live, but do let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. For those on the go, you can get all the latest news and updates from across the world on DD India's mobile app. The app is available both on Android and iOS platforms. Scan the QR code that you see on your screen. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Amrit Pal Singh from my entire team here in Delhi. Thank you for watching DD India Live. Have a good day.